Current podcast.
Current podcast.
Current podcast. Find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Now you get to see what it takes to create something for y'all to listen to and watch. I hope y'all appreciate it. Let's get it.
Tell us about Mario. Tell us about who he is, about who he thinks he is, if you will. That's something that we used to always ask our guests. Who do you think you are? You know what I mean? So I think you're the appropriate person for me to ask that.
Well,
and,
okay. That's a good question. I don't know that I want to say who I think I am. I think I know who I am.
Cool.
First, I'm a follower of Jesus. I follow Jesus Christ, not Jesus.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. I'm a husband and I'm a dad. That's who I am. Like, I know who I am.
You're a girl dad at that too.
Yeah, bro. I have a 10-year-old now. She's 10. I'm committed to my wife, committed to my family. And the Lord's called me to serve people as a pastor and as a leader, while understanding that my most important call is my family.
The priorities.
Yeah, my priority is being committed to Christ and my wife and my daughter.
Amen.
Being a pastor is not who I am. That's what God's called me to do.
Right, it's what I do. Yep.
Because that can go away anytime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The church or the ministry can get another pastor anytime.
Yeah.
Right.
But my priority is following Christ, my wife, and my daughter. So hopefully that answers your question. That's why
it does.
I have a side question about that.
I am. Yeah.
Because I remember seeing you at the pulpit singing. Where did it go from? Were you always a pastor at that time too, or did it evolve from singing being the head worship leader and then transitioning to?
Yeah. So I did mostly worship leading. I think you could say that I was what in the church. You know, the organized church we would call it a worship pastor or music ministry pastor, right? Because I was still leading people.
Right, that's the title. Right.
Helping people, still, this real Christian word, still shepherding people.
Right.
But I did that for a long time, man.
Right.
Just a long time.
Every Sunday and Thursday, I remember.
Yeah, bro, I did that.
It's crazy because I've been at the church I'm at for 20 years. I did the calculations, and that's like walking into the church was Mario Ortiz leading worship, and then one day being in the band with him too.
Yeah, he used to play bass. Bro.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
true.
crazy, man. Yeah.
You're like, Mauricio, dale más, Mauricio.
Yeah, bro. I think I did it for...
Slap the bass, man.
Man, I think I did it for like 12 years.
I was about to say a good 13, 12 years. Yeah,
I think about 12 years. And then during that time, I go and get invited to speak at different places and stuff. But for the most part, I was committed to serving at La Iglesia en el Camino.
Yeah, definitely.
I came there in the year 2000, bro.
Wow.
When I was there. I left in June 2013.
Yeah.
So
years.
So like 12, almost 13 years.
Yeah.
Did the leave cause the transition from worship leader to then pastor?
Yeah. So when I left, that's a good question. I got a phone call from a church out in the Santa Clarita Valley. It's called Real Life Church. So I got this phone call, and they were starting a project. They had a new project. They wanted to launch, Spanish ministry, Spanish congregation.
Right.
They were already an established church. They have been established for 13, 14 years. They're out in Valencia, English speaking. Their main campus is in, if you're familiar with Santa Clarita and Valencia, suburb of LA.
Is that the same one where Charlie Perez works? Is that?
No. He's at a church called Cross Point.
Oh.
Yeah, which Cross Point used to be
Real Life
the church on the way North Campus.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then eventually they changed their name, and now they're called Cross Point. But or the church on the way Santa Clarita, it used to be called. But at real life, I was there. They told me about a project they wanted to do. They wanted to start a Spanish congregation. And they invited me to come. And they're like, somebody recommended you and we called you.
Right.
And so, they had a really good project that was going to start. They had a group of Spanish speakers, Latinos, that were meeting, I think once a month on a Friday. And it was about, 30 of them, something.
Oh, snap. That's a nice group.
Yeah. And then their idea was for me to come and officially start their Spanish congregation, and then have services weekly.
Right.
Yeah, but they were an established congregation, man.
How do you take that decision? Because you're saying that someone recommended you.
Yeah.
So then how do you take that decision to then say, all right, I've done being a worship pastor for a long time. Someone's recommending me to this, and then take that decision of saying, well, I'm going to go down this path now.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to understand that we all have different gifts, right? Like, I have the gift of being musical. I've never stopped doing music. So it's like, I didn't leave doing music. I just started operating in a different area or a different capacity, right? So I went from being the person on staff or on a team to being the guy leading the
staff and the team.
You know what I'm saying? So, and so I still, to this day, I still do music. I'm still involved in music, just not how I used to do it.
The reason I ask is just because there's a difference in like the responsibility factor. And that's why I ask, like, how do you take that decision to say, I'm mentally prepared? Yes, I can, because it's a huge transition from being someone that just does worship, which has its responsibilities as well. But then becoming a pastor has like a whole different responsibility, especially when dealing with people that come to the congregation.
I got a question about before you even got to the like that. What was the testimony behind you coming to Christ? Was your family like a Christian?
So I grew up in the church. Yeah, my family, my dad, my mom, they met on the worship team in Mexico at the church.
¿Qué parte de Mexico?
I'm from León, Guanajuato. Yeah, central Mexico. About 4 hours.
What cartel is killing that part right now?
You know what? In Guanajuato, there's a cartel. I hear it's pretty dangerous.
Really? You haven't been there since?
No, I haven't been there in a while. But it's about 4 hours north of Mexico City.
Okay.
Mexico is so big when you start talking about it like that. I'm like, dang, it's huge.
Yeah. So we're from León, central Mexico city, pretty big city. We grew up in a suburb of the city of León. We had a good life. My dad had made a career out of banking. He was a banker at a bank called Bancomer. We had a good life, man. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 younger sisters. And then, it's like a bunch of Latino families. One family member migrates. And then he's like, hey, you should come. And so I had a tío, the tío that
he was lonely up here, huh?
To come. And my dad's like, well, let me go check it out. And my dad had his visa, so he'd come for a few months and check it out. And then he'd go back. And
he was coming here to LA specifically?
He was coming to LA. Yeah.
What year was this, would you say, Prophet?
He started coming like in 1987, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Showtime era, cool.
Yeah, in the 80s. And so then we finally migrated here in 1989.
Were you ready for that? Or were you like, I don't have no choice?
Nah, man, I didn't want to come, So
you got to learn a whole new language.
Yeah, I was 8. So
you've been speaking Spanish your whole entire life.
Spanish.
Right. You've never spoken.
I was always curious.
I had never seen an African American. You know what I'm saying? And so when we
only on television,
I'd never seen a black person.
Right.
And then we migrated and we lived in the city called Linwood.
Oh wow!
Right next to Compton.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I went to elementary school, and all my little friends were black. You know what I'm saying? So it was like
Damn. Culture
language,
shock.
Mhm.
Culture shock.
like country, language, culture.
Then you're not only learning regular English, but slang
went from,
English
like-
as well.
Rancheras at the pueblo in the town you were at to hip hop.
It wasn't even a pueblo, bro. We were in the city.
It was a city.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what kind of music
Yeah.
were you listening? Do you remember
It
listening
was
to back
just
then?
pop music, you know. Just
Okay,
the
so
normal.
pop, and then here it was like NWA and like
Yeah, bro. It's all the gangster rap and stuff. All my little friends, you know.
Right.
So didn't speak the language. You know, came to be in ESL classes, or actually, I don't think I was in ESL. You just go through this culture clash, man. You know, so I think I finished the 3rd grade.
Did that affect your identity and like trying to figure out who you are? Since you grew up with an identity in Mexico and now you have to figure out your identity in the United States?
I think that's a good question. I think it, in some aspect, I think so. You know, but we found a good community when we came. Found a good community in the church.
nice.
So I think churches are important. You know, finding good community, good people. We met some amazing Salvadorian people.
That's right.
Just you Salvadorian?
We are Salvadorian.
All of
So
you
yeah,
Salvadorian?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, bro. You're surrounded by them. This is Mara right here, dog. I'm just kidding.
Mara or what?
The Mara Controla, you know.
Yeah, some of our till today, some of our best friends, family friends, are Salvadoran, and
nice.
they extended their help to us, their you know, their hand, their time, their friendship, and we just found a good community, man.
That's
You know,
awesome.
we found a good community. It was tough, you know, coming from living in a suburb in Leon, in a nice community, in a house. You know, we were just a upper middle class family.
Right, in Mexico, right.
In Mexico, my dad had a great career, and then we come here, and we have nothing, you know. And it's like we're living with family.
In
It's
an apartment.
5 of us in an apartment, living with family in a
And that brings it to
3-bedroom
issues.
apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 1 bedroom
That's all 5
of the
y'all.
3-bedroom apartment, 5 of us sleeping on the floor. My dad, my mom, my 2 sisters, me, and my uncle sleeping in the walk-in closet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
The struggle
what a-
was real.
What a clash, bro. You know?
Did you ever question your parents? Ay, es que tenemos una casa, aquí estamos aquí.
You know, I didn't.
I was a smart mouse, so I said I would.
Yeah. I didn't question it. I think I questioned God.
Oh, because you already had the relationship because
Yeah.
of going to church over there.
Yeah,
already.
yeah. I think I questioned God. Like, but not like in a bitter way, you
You're
know?
like, ¿por qué estamos aquí?
Yeah, I never got like bitter.
Mhm.
I could see you as like,
I
¿qué es
just-
la misión?
Yeah, it was
You
kind
know?
of like I guess we're here, you know, and it was weird.
Right.
It was weird.
And then how was your adolescence after, 8 years here?
Well, immigrant kids, the reality is immigrant kids have to grow up fast.
fast.
Yeah. You got no other option.
You got to grow up fast.
And you got to try to survive being bullied at school.
Yeah, that I remember. I was bullied at school.
Mhm.
So you gotta develop some thick skin.
For real.
Yeah.
You gotta I got in a few little,
Scuffles?
little scuffles as a kid, bro.
Right.
Bound to happen.
Yeah. And then
Hermano, eso no se hace.
yeah.
Just kidding, nah, just kidding.
You gotta do what you gotta do, bro. You know? And then you gotta grow up fast, man. You're 8, 9 years old, translating legal documents for your parents.
That's like first generation problems too. Like,
Yeah,
you gotta always
bro.
know, yeah.
For real.
And then you don't know a word, and then people are like, "¿Qué no hablas? Don't you go to school?
Yeah.
¿Para qué te mando a la escuela?
¿Qué no vas a la escuela? You know, don't you speak English?" And it's like,
And it's like, well, this is a legal world.
yeah, bro.
I guess.
Totally different.
I'm in
Yeah, it was
ESL,
funny.
mom. Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to grow up fast. My sisters were real young, so they don't remember much of Mexico. I do. I left my dog and my friends.
Did you guys come on the plane too? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you guys came
Yeah,
with
yeah,
visas
we had
and
our
everything.
visa.
Oh,
We
nice, nice.
Came, we eventually found a good church that sponsored us.
Nice.
And we were able to fix our immigration status or get our green card that way and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice.
So, when you ask my adolescence, my teenage years,
What high school did you go to? Just if you
I
don't
went to
mind.
Hamilton High School.
Okay.
Yeah, in LA,
Okay.
right next to Culver City, right
Alright.
off the 10.
Hamilton,
Yeah, the Yankees,
Okay.
the Hamilton Yankees. Bro.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good times there.
Yeah, it was great,
Class
man.
of what?
To 1999.
Sheesh.
Class of 99.
You were singing
Yeah.
Purple Rain.
I just
like-
aged myself. So
That's interesting,
yeah,
bro.
man. I'll be
Is
40.
that school still there?
I'll be 43 in a few days.
You look great for
geez.
43, bro.
Thank you, man.
Is that school still there?
Yeah, it's been there a long time. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a historical LA school. It sounds
yeah,
like Hamilton.
it's right
High.
off the 10 on Robertson Boulevard.
And so by that time, you were already also playing music and all this stuff.
So the reason I went to Hamilton was because I was in their music academy. They have a specific program that you audition for, so you can get in, and
Yeah.
so that's how I ended up.
What instrument?
I played wind instruments like saxophone and
Oh, interesting.
and clarinet and all that.
Learn how to read music y todo eso.
Yeah, and I went to a performing arts middle school too. It's up here in Tarzana. It's called Portola.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went to
Man,
Portola.
so you was out here. You were living in Linwood.
I was living
and
in
they
LA.
were
No,
trapped-
so we eventually moved to LA, but I lived in LA.
Linwood.
I lived in Linwood first, right? That's like past South Central.
Right.
Then we moved to LA, more near downtown. You know where the original Tommy's is? Yeah, on Rampart, around
Yeah, yeah,
Rampart.
okay.
We live near Rampart and Temple, right next to the Temple Rampart police station. You know, we lived there.
Rampart Division. was
Yeah,
not-
Rampart Division.
Yeah.
We lived right next to that police station during the Rodney King riots.
Crazy.
Y'all may be a little too young to
No,
remember those.
I've seen the footage, but
You've
yeah.
seen the
Yeah,
footage,
yeah.
but the military was like in our behind our
Backyard.
building, getting ready to go. You know,
No way.
yeah. During
So
the-
you were like what, 15 when that happened? 14?
that was 1992.
94? 90.
No, 92, 93.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Rodney
yeah.
King's 92 because I was 1 year old.
92, 93, around
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I was 8 and 89. So yeah, I was 12.
12. Wow.
Like 12, 13.
That's a trip.
Yeah.
You're like, pa, ¿por qué los morenos están enojados, pa?
Yeah, bro, it was crazy. The city was burning, man.
Yeah.
And so so I came like
But around the same
they
time-
bust me, bro, from down there all the way up here.
You were like
Tarzana.
like Ice Cube. He was going to Woodland Hills, to Taft, and he was living in South Central or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
but
was
I-
because of you were in the academic and music
And the performing
academy.
arts music
Okay,
school.
that's dope.
Yeah.
So then, why didn't you try to look for another school in high school out here?
Because of the performing arts.
Oh, Hamilton.
Yeah.
There was no
Hamilton.
other. There was no other school.
I wanted
out
to go to
here?
Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hamilton was real big on the music academy. The
Nice.
Hamilton Music Academy.
And then once you graduate 99, what's the next step for Mario from now on?
College.
So 99. So at first I was a terrible student. I was awful, bro. School was, but I always excelled in anything that had to do with performing arts. That's why I think,
That was your
I
thing.
think school is not for everybody.
I agree.
I think school, the system as we know it, tries to put you in a
box.
in a box. School's hard for me. It's still hard for me. But anything, and since elementary, anything that had to do with being in front of people, performing, playing an instrument, singing,
Came naturally.
speech, whatever, like it like that was like adrenaline for me. Like I just kind of excelled in it.
They would ask and you'd be like, "I'll do it."
Yeah. I was like usually shy, kind of introvert, not really had a lot of friends. I had, a few friends, but when it came to like doing something in front of people,
No
it
te
was
daba
like,
pena.
cool, like let's do it,
Right.
Did you try theater or anything like that
I
as
did
well?
some theater,
Okay.
I did some musical theater, and it was not really my thing, but I liked it,
Do you feel that helped you like get out of the introvert zone, that you were able to do those things?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think I'm more like extroverted now than what eventually
grew
I
up,
kind of
Right.
grew into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I graduated high school, got out of high school, just sort of started working. And then I did community college here and there. You know, I took some classes at community college and just trying to find myself, bro.
Right.
You know, I was gonna go to the Marines at some point.
Wow.
Right out of high school. I think I was like 18. I went to
How different your life would have been if you made that.
yeah,
Huh?
it would have. And then I didn't end up doing it. You know, went to community college, went to Rio Hondo down near Whittier, and then I went to Pasadena City College to do music. Just trying to find myself,
Right.
dude. You know, it's like
So you're doing different programs.
yeah, just
different,
mostly music.
Did they were all music related?
Music
like
related,
All the programs
yeah.
you were doing?
Yeah,
okay, okay.
music related.
Was it like different majors within music? Because I know there's also different majors.
Well, yeah, it was honestly, it was kind of like I was trying to do just my like requirements and then do all the other general education stuff, you know. But
was there a specific like concentration within like the degree you were trying to get?
no, not really.
Okay.
It was initially it was more like how do you say composition?
Oh, okay.
It's
okay,
composition.
Okay, gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah, arranging.
So understanding more the
composition.
theory,
Yeah.
the theory of music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
writing music and all that.
So just trying to find myself, you know, figure out what to do.
So
And then,
it's interesting because I mean earlier you just said you graduated in '99, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to like less than 2000. So how did that trying to find yourself through college end you up in that church, or how did that end up
yeah,
connecting?
bro,
You know?
I think since I was like 17, you know, I just did different jobs, man. You know, I worked at a restaurant in downtown LA. I worked at a bookstore. I worked at the mall. Just trying, you know,
Whatever
you're trying to
paid the bills.
find yourself,
Right.
bro. You know, not even the bills because I had no bills. You know, it's like
I know there wasn't
just-
phone bills back then, huh?
yeah, bro. It was
Pager
like-
bill?
Yeah, bro. Like, hey, well, I'm not that old, bro.
Pager bill.
But
We're still using pagers in '99. Come on,
man, it's you know you're just trying to figure things out, and but for sure I wanted to do something in music, you know, and I was just involved in music, and then
Was there a specific idea within music, like say trying to make a jingle for like a movie,
I wanted
TV
to- I
show,
wanted to
music for video games?
no, I wanted to be a recording engineer.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to I want to learn all the stuff that Mauricio does.
crazy.
I want to learn how to do that.
The irony.
And I didn't, you know, for some reason. I mean, I was always involved in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up at La Iglesia en el Camino. And then I just got connected with people on the worship team. And then I just started playing. And while I was there, still had all these different kinds of just kind of gigs and jobs. And, you know. I
Did
was
you
doing
know
valet
already how to
parking
play
and-
piano before
Yeah.
getting there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I had taken classes and learned stuff on my own
Mm-hmm.
So
before
this
there
is
was
like
YouTube.
18-year-old Mario at Church on the Way in Iglesia en el Camino as a band member, not leading. When
Not
did you start
leading.
leading the group?
I started leading. So I came to La Iglesia en el Camino when I was 19, and then I joined the team, and I was just playing the piano. That's it. I was just a team member. And then we used to have Thursday night services. One Thursday night, our worship leader, his name was at that time was Pastor Tomas. If you remember Tomas,
Oh no way!
Tomas used to lead worship, bro.
Wow.
If you watch this, Tomas, he was a great guy. Not a great singer, you know. No offense, Tomas, but he was a great leader. He was a great guy, you know, a good pastor. And I remember on Thursday he got sick, and he wasn't gonna make it. And it was like 6:30 p.m. And I'm like, well, like I can lead, you know. It's like I'll help. And then I remember that I got called to this little side room over there with the pastor.
Yeah.
And he goes, so you can lead? I go, yeah. He goes, well, I'm gonna help you. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I don't have to lead, you know. It's like whatever. And so yeah, they put a mic on the piano for me, and I was on the piano, and I led a couple.
You had a strong
songs.
voice. I remember from what I remember going on Sundays. Was that there even at that instance when you decided to lead, or did you have to develop that?
No, I was there.
You already had that confidence.
Yeah, it was there. It was there. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was there.
And then after that Thursday, you convinced the pastors.
After that Thursday, it just sort of just naturally started developing.
Was that Jaime at that time?
Yeah.
Oh, he was like, I'm gonna sing with you.
Yeah. He was like, and he sang. He like stood up front and he led. But or he helped me, or I helped him, or whatever, bro. You know,
Spirit helped.
He said he was gonna help me, but then I felt like I was helping him, and so we helped each other.
Yeah.
But I was a kid, bro. I was 19.
Wow.
And then that just sort of started kind of developing into leading more often, and then the church started really just exploding in attendance. You know, this dude, you know, was little. He was little, man. You know, we used to call him.
Seeing this guy?
Yeah, bro. We used to call him El Ujercito.
Oh, because we had a suit.
He always had a little suit, little tie.
I would be like, bruh. My parents would use him as an example. Like, why can't you be like him? And I'm like, I don't want to wear a suit.
I don't want to be like him.
I don't want a suit. Like, mira Manuel. I'm like, nah. And then they made him do it. I was like, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, bro. And
I was in my rebellious stage at that time.
That's funny. And that just sort of developed, man. You know, I just started doing more of that, volunteering. Man, you guys are making me think back. Wow.
When did RJ start? Was RJ already there when you went there?
I think RJ started
No, that was later on.
a little bit later.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing for me was, well, it's not crazy, but I came to like Iglesia en el Camino, and I was too old to be in the youth group because I was 19 already.
Yeah.
Right?
So there wasn't the facilities for you.
Too young to be with all the older folks.
There was no young adults. Yeah.
No, there was no such thing as young adults, you know? And so,
Interesting.
which I got my own thoughts about all that stuff, young adults and all that. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, because
We're literally about to segue into that. So
I'm trying to go to church right now, and I'm like, they're like the young adults ends at 30, and I'm like, I'm 33, so
bro, I'm on the clock already, bro.
So
I can't go there anymore almost.
So it's like I was too old to be in the youth group, but there was no young adult group. But there was several people in the worship team that were young, like my age. And I just connected with them. And that was my community.
Yeah.
You know, that was my community.
Just hanged out with them and try to do like ministry with them.
Yeah. So when RJ came in, you know, Revolución Juvenil.
You couldn't even get in.
No,
there.
I was not involved at all, bro. No way. I was too old. Yeah, bro.
That's interesting. So, like, kind of how I want to segue with this is like, how have you seen, especially since you kind of grew up in the church and whatnot, how have you seen pastoring and church change and develop from, you know, in Mexico to coming out here and dealing with like, you know, an Anglo pastor, and then now to like you're fully leading Hispanic ministries and all that stuff, even now alongside Anglo pastors as well. So just how that in a sense the acceptance came around, because I know at the beginning it wasn't very so accepted to have like a Hispanic church and stuff like that. You know, it was kind of a foreign topic. Yeah. So just tell us about that, how you've seen that change and whatnot.
Yeah, for me, it was really good to serve with Pastor Jim. Mm-hmm. That was a blessing for me. And
it was a golden era when he was there at that building. I feel like
it was a good time at La Iglesia, man. It was, you know, churches go through seasons, and it was a really good season. Yeah. You know, it was a really great season, and I was. You know, I was a little part of what God was doing in that season at the church. Beautiful. You know, it's like I was a part of that. I saw La Iglesia go from 100 people
at the bottom.
Yeah, bro, when I went to La Iglesia, we were meeting at the prayer chapel.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
You know, we were still meeting at the prayer chapel.
That's on Sherman Way and like Tyrone.
Lennox.
Yep.
You know, and then we started kind of growing, and I saw it go from, you know, a group of about 100, 150 to just exploding, bro. Thousands.
How many people to fill up the sanctuary?
The venue is 1,500 if I'm not mistaken.
And then it was 4 services. You were leading 4.
But you gotta start to remember that back in that golden era, as you were saying it.
No,
they would add extra chairs. Like
there was overflows and all that.
Overflow was wild. On the overflow,
they would do the underground.
Everybody up on the platform,
on the stage. Yeah.
the choir loft, whatever.
Yeah.
People sitting there. It wasn't a choir. It was people that came late. To
Right.
church.
In the back. That was wild.
There was people on the
man.
back, people on the
People,
sides,
bro, I'd be
people
leading
on the
worship on a
bottom.
keyboard. People sitting right on the steps, you know. And so,
crazy.
And there's
bro.
also
Firefighters never
they
called
also
and been
had-
like, "Hey,
all the
this is-
time, bro.
man, it was
All the
always
time.
a risk to
All
get
the time,
get
yeah.
shut down, you know.
Yeah,
Really?
But they would always just come and inspect that at least the doorways, the
Yeah.
pathways were just open at least. That nothing was blocking in case of an emergency. Also, the gym would also get filled up because they would run like a signal
out there.
for people to see it from the gym.
And then
as well.
special events downstairs was full too.
Yeah.
That's
was
crazy.
crazy,
You just posted something recently when we went to USC. This is
saw that?
Galen Center. Yeah, bro. We were all
That was
there.
2008.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
it was
That
that
was
too.
great. I remember we got there like at 5 a.m. that day because our parents were ushers. And then my dad, at the end of the day, I was like, dang, you had a good day, Dad. And then I touched his back, bro. Boy was sweating through his suit. Like, it was crazy.
It was a
event. How
it was
many
a good-
churches showed up to that event? It was not only us, right?
Bro, I mean,
It was mostly us though.
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, it was mostly us. Yeah, so it was a good season, man. It was just it was a good season. It was a long season. It wasn't short.
It was at least 8 years.
It was more.
Yeah. It was almost to
I was there
2012,
next
20, like you
Yeah.
said, like 2012.
20, I think. Yeah, if 2013 is when Pastor Toll went and planted another church. So yeah.
But
by that time, I was
going
in
back to his question on talking about the evolution of the church and how have you seen it? How has church changed from the time that you've experienced it as a young child to now? How have you seen that transition through these years?
in what sense though? Because I
Well-
think the church has changed.
Well, you touched one topic first of all. You said the young adults, how that's kind of been it's grown like there, and then talked about the Hispanic ministries and how that's beginning.
yeah.
And then also one thing we're gonna talk about in a bit is also how worship has changed. How instrumentation back in the day was very basic, just a piano maybe and voice, and then the whole using a guitar was like, oh, that's rock and roll, es el diablo, todo eso. So just those kind of changes and how like it's become more accepting, and now how it's even somewhat judged to be like, oh, like las luces, toda la producción, the haze, like all that stuff. Like, walk us through your perspective and all that.
Okay, so
It's a loaded question, but yeah.
yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. But I would say in my experience, and again, everybody's has their own experience, but in my experience, it was good for me to work with an Anglo pastor. I learned some disciplines that I didn't have, right? For example, Latino pastors, for the most part, we are known for being very passionate. We're not known for being very structured. We're known
Leave
for,
it to the Holy Spirit.
yeah. We're known for having passion. We're called and we're gonna do it and we're gonna do it. We're gonna go and we're gonna go. Okay, how are you gonna do it?
He leaves it all last minute.
The Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cool, but how are you gonna do it?
Right.
I mean, I know a bunch of churches. I grew up in a church where the pastor always said, we're gonna grow, and we never grew.
Because he never set the plan.
Because there was never a plan. Well, we're gonna grow, the Lord showed me. That's cool, but I can go visit you today,
It's still the same.
and there's less people than when I was there growing up. You know what I'm saying? So the Latino pastors, for the most part, not all of them again, and I'm not generalizing, so I don't want to make anybody angry.
No, there's books written about that.
But there is a passion in us because we're passionate people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Think back to when you started your business. There was a passion, right? It's like, I'm just gonna go for it.
Right.
There's a lot of people, like, for example, one of the businesses that fails the most are restaurants. Because people start them with, I have a passion for food. That's great. But do you know what it's going to take?
Yeah, straight up.
And that's the same. It's the same thing in
Ministry.
in the ministry. It's like, I personally know a lot of people that are passionate, but they don't know how they're going to do it. So it was good for me to work with someone that had structure because it helped me and it helped shape things in me that needed to be shaped.
Yeah, the intangibles that you hadn't gained in other parts, you
Right.
gained it with him.
And then I think for me, where I've made it a point to, I don't want to be known as the Spanish pastor. When you're around Anglo people or Black people, African American people,
Asian people,
you're known as that's the Spanish pastor. Well, no. What if I was just known as
the pastor?
I'm a pastor. I just so happen to speak 2 languages.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what was so diverse about Jaime at that time, that he was not even Hispanic, but his Spanish was so, it was decent, and he got his message across.
Yeah.
And it was like, yo, how's this guy like moving such a big church? And
Yeah.
so I see that angle on you, because now you're like, you're born in Mexico.
Yeah.
But you're like, your English is better than a lot of Americans that I know, you know? So
So the thing is, when you're around the majority culture, you're Latino or you're a person of color, you're usually known by, that's your identity.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't look at my white brother and say, oh, you're the English pastor. I don't do that.
You don't box them in like that.
Yeah, I don't. But so I make it a point to, hey, yo, don't put me in a box.
Right.
I'm a pastor. God's called me to be a pastor,
Of
to
all
be a shepherd.
races, of everybody.
I just so happen to speak 2 languages.
Yeah.
Guess what? You don't. You know what I'm saying? And I don't say that to be
Demeaning.
to be demeaning. I'm just saying, don't put me in a box because I'm Latino.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when you have a calling from God, now, do I think I have a call to minister to Latinos? Sure. But those aren't the only people I minister to.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
That's like me saying I'm gonna only cut Hispanic people.
Right.
When I'm like, I'm losing out on all these other people that I can serve.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
so yeah.
You know, and so one of the things we have to look at is that all of us here, even the production crew,
Yeah.
I would assume we're all bicultural.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like we can go back and forth like nothing.
Yeah.
And then even then, I feel like it's do you feel like it's because I they brought this to my attention that some of the barbers, they were like, you act different around certain clients, and I'm like, I act the way that client is not paying me to act, but almost like his energy, I kind of match it. So it's like, if it's a hip hop guy, I'm talking hip hop.
Yeah.
If it's a lawyer, I'm gonna talk to him like a lawyer. If it's a doctor, I'm like, all right, let me tighten up a little bit. If I have clients that are pastors, let me not curse right now because I don't want to disrespect them. Like, no, real talk, like, because I have to kind of feel the atmosphere of the person that I'm gonna see for that hour. So,
Well, that's called that's called emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like a lot of people don't have that. But in the pastoral world, is that something that you deal with too? Because like they say, they put you in a box with, oh, you're on a Hispanic pastor, or is that something that you're like, nah, man, I'm a chameleon. I can talk to everybody.
There you go.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
because that's what I told them. I was like, I'm a chameleon, man. Like, you got to be able to fit in the room that you're in, you know? Like, and
Yeah.
so it's the same thing in the pastoral world.
It's the same thing, you know. Paul said to the Jew, I'm a Jew. To the Greek, I'm a Greek. To the Gentile, I'm a Gentile. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like when God's called you to do something, sure, hablo español. I speak Spanish, right? So I get to share a message almost every Sunday. I get to preach almost every Sunday in Spanish. That's how I communicate to my congregation right now. That doesn't mean I don't speak English.
Yeah.
And I can't also communicate or share the message of the gospel in English.
Right.
I can do that too. So, you know,
Have you found one to
we're-
be more effective than the other?
No. I can
Or
go,
one that you enjoy more than the other?
I like them both, man. Honestly, equally. I like them both equally.
I think the biggest challenge is more vocabulary.
Sure.
Because there's certain like words or certain things that carry differently in Spanish than carry in English.
I remember Jaime used to ask the public, like, okay, what's the word? And then like somebody would throw something out there and he'd just be like, yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing is that certain vocabulary in English carry a different meaning than when you carry that same message in Spanish. So there could be sometimes limitations of how we can describe something based on our vocabulary.
Right.
Well, and that's why it's important to know your audience, right?
But that
So
part.
if you know your audience, so to my Latino brothers and sisters on a Sunday, I can use Latino colloquialism
Yeah.
and they'll understand me.
Yeah.
I can't use that. So I'm going to use an example. I can't preach or I don't preach or share a message to an English speaking congregation that's multi-ethnic and talk like George Lopez.
It just won't fit, nah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
George Lopez understands his market. And his market is not a multi-ethnic market.
Right.
It's not.
Raza.
It's la raza.
That's it.
It's the person that is going to understand the Spanglish, right? So I don't, whenever I get an opportunity to share a message in English at my congregation, I need to understand my audience. So I can use some colloquialism that the English speaker understands. Or, and our church, I'm back at Church on the Way, by the way,
Oh, nice.
So Church on the Way is highly multi-ethnic. It's not just white people or black people.
Right.
We've got, Asian people, Asian American. We've got, African Americans. When I say African Americans, it's people from Africa.
Literally.
We've got, Ugandans and Nigerians and Ethiopians. And
even then, you also have a generation of Hispanic Latino people that don't speak the language
absolutely
all the
No
way
Sabo,
like
no
that.
Sabo. We got
no
no Sabo
Sabo
kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's there's some things that don't translate, like Emmanuel said, but it's understanding your audience.
And then the other thing, same thing, going back to vocabulary, is also because you're dealing with different ethnicities, you have to try to remain neutral in the language you use. Because, especially in Spanish, we all speak Spanish, we all have different dialects. So it's like one word can mean something to someone, and then it can mean a totally different thing in a different country. And then you can offend someone without even meaning to offend them with that Spanish. So trying to remain neutral is also it's a challenge as well.
Yeah.
And same thing can happen in English depending on what English that person learned. Because it also determines, like, okay, if you're talking to someone from New York, if you're talking to someone that's from Miami, like, we have an accent to them that we don't understand.
Right.
Because we all talk the same here in LA.
Right. Yeah. And it's understanding your audience. Like, I can say, I went a few weeks ago, I was on vacation. I went to Guatemala. So I can come back to my congregation and say, like, ustedes los guatemaltecos que comen chuchitos.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, and they understand. But if I say chuchitos to somebody that's not from Guatemala,
They're not going to get it.
huh?
They eat dogs. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
context.
They're just tamales, just small tamales. That's all it is.
But it's
Cheetos, I'm like, that's a little dog.
but again, it's knowing your audience, and when you're a public speaker, you have to know your audience, and you ought to be able to explain what's going on. So, if, for example, when I share a message, mostly, when I mostly preach it in Spanish. Most of the time, when I preach in Spanish. You'll almost never hear me say things like in the Bible, this guy named Moses said this, or this guy named Paul said this, because I'm assuming that in my congregation, there are people that have been in the church for 20 years or 30. Like, there may be someone that's been there for 6 months and has no idea who Paul is.
Right.
And I'll say things like, Hey, I want to tell you something. There's this guy in the Bible in the New Testament named Paul. Paul was an apostle.
So
and
you
he
always
wrote,
break it down.
and he wrote like more than half the books in the New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what he said. So for the person that's been there at the church for 40 years, right? They've been church context, church culture for 40 years. They're like, oh, I know who Paul is. But the person that's been there 6 months that doesn't know who Paul is, they're like, oh. You know what I'm saying? So it's understanding your audience. And that's
how to break it down.
That's really a law of teaching. It's if you're teaching and your people can't understand what you're saying, then you're not teaching a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you one thing that I noticed, like, because we're talking about that golden era of that church, and you were part of that. Did you learn, like, because one thing that I remember noticing was like the passion that Pastor Toe had, and then like Hermano Fernando was so serious during his sermons. Do you gravitate to something like similar? Are you more like jovial, or are you somebody that's like you're serious when you're giving your sermon?
I think it depends on what you're trying to convey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're trying to communicate. And as the more you public speak and the more you do it, the more you find your voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like barbering, bro.
Right.
You don't barber the same way. How long you been barbering?
Like 15 years.
You don't do it the same way you did when you were 1 year.
Yeah,
in.
not at all.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
the same thing.
You evolve eventually.
You found your like your groove. You found your rhythm.
Right.
And so as you know, I'm a public speaker, right? I get to share a message publicly. There are people that I admire. There are people that I listen to. There are people I'm always learning. There are people that I follow that I'm like, man, I like how he said it. I like how she said it. I like how they did this. And I don't try to imitate. I try to learn.
Right.
And because I have a voice. So, but the more you do it, and you can tell, like when I was 20 and I was trying to preach, I was trying to copy somebody.
Right.
Because I didn't know who I was. You know what I'm saying? I had not found my voice.
Right.
And so it's like you guys have been doing the podcast for 4 years. You go back and you look at your first episode.
Oh man.
I'm still trying to cut out the
it's different than
for sure.
what you do now, right? You eventually found a rhythm, found a voice.
The consistency did that.
Yeah, and the more you do it, and then you guys watch other podcasters.
For sure.
You guys learn from what they do.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think the issue is when you try to copy other people.
Yeah.
You know? But you can learn from what other people are doing. People that you admire. People that, man, there are so many people that do it better than you do.
For sure.
There's so many people, and I don't mean by you guys. I'm
facts.
saying, like, there are so many people.
I'm a firm believer, and there's always room for improvement.
Yeah. There's someone that does it, that preaches better than me, for sure. I can tell you that. There's someone that sings better than me, that plays better than me. And so there are people that I admire that I don't necessarily copy, but I just learn.
Yeah.
Now, when I was younger, I copied. That's how you learn.
Yeah, you got to fake it till you make it when you're younger.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's finding your voice, man. And so the more I do it, you know, when I left Church on the Way and I went to Real Life Church and I started preaching every Sunday. I went from singing every Sunday
To preaching every Sunday.
Going back to your question, right? Leading worship every Sunday, only focusing on music every Sunday, to now I'm preparing and writing a message every week to communicate every Sunday.
And that's a question I have too, because you said there's a kind of a divide between the person that's been there 30, 40 years and then the person that's just there 6 months. And I feel like one thing that I constantly kind of have a debate with my dad is that he feels that sometimes churches are kind of more reserved or conservative on what they'll preach. And the person like my dad that's been in church for 30 years is like, they need to be talking the truth, what's going on in the world right now and this and that. And it's like, hold up, but you have someone that's their first day there. You're going to scare them off. So it's like also like, because I know that back then it was a lot about like convicting people from the pulpit. And so even how that has changed to like having more grace and having more like, so like, you know, how is that struggle, or how is that balance, if you will, when you're preparing a sermon or a series or stuff like that?
For me, it's not a struggle. Like, I think as a leader, as a pastor, you do have to draw lines. You know what I'm saying? Like, there shouldn't be gray areas. This is my opinion.
For sure.
I get that there are gonna be people that watch this and hear this. They're gonna be like, he's crazy, and that's cool.
That's their opinion.
That's your opinion. I think you have to draw a line.
In what sense?
I think people need to understand what you believe in. You know, like not where
are you hot or
gray.
cold?
Right.
Basically.
Not where you're like gray, you know? Like, well, what do you think about, you know, I don't know, whatever issue you want to bring up? Well, I don't know. No, like you should develop where you stand
Your
on
voice
an
in
issue.
something, yeah.
Right? Like, where do you stand on gay marriage? I stand here.
It's between a man and a woman.
Right.
In my
Like,
opinion.
this is where I stand. And people should know where you stand, not wonder where you stand. Now, I believe, if we're talking, you know, I brought up the issue. So I think marriage should be between a man and a woman.
Right.
Period.
Amen.
If you don't like me for that, that's cool. But at least you know where I stand.
Right.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not saying we hate gay people, because I agree with him on that too. We're just saying marriage, the title should be, you know.
We're not saying anything about hate. If somebody asks me, where do you stand on gay marriage? I say, I think a marriage should be between a man and a woman. Now, you can do whatever the heck you want with your life.
Right.
It's your life.
Yeah.
That's none of my business. But this is where I stand. You don't like it? That's okay. You don't have to like it. But this is where I stand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think as leaders, man, and honestly, as men,
Facts.
Yeah.
like as a man,
Yes.
there shouldn't be gray areas.
They shouldn't be wondering what you.
No,
Yeah.
like there should be, this is where I stand. That doesn't mean I hate you. That doesn't mean that I dislike you. This just means this is where I stand. So when we talk about the church, and when I tell you it's not hard for me, it's like, it's not hard for me to preach scripture.
Yeah.
You don't like what scripture says? Take it up with God. Don't take it up with me.
Yeah.
This is what scripture says.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't like it, that's your problem.
I was just talking to somebody about the whole situation in Gaza and Israel right now. And then they were like, and it's in the scripture, man. Like anybody that fights against them is going to face God eventually. And then he's like, and then he said, if anything, they should be upset with themselves because they didn't listen to God back then. They wouldn't be dealing with what they're dealing with now. And I was like, it sounded like hard to hear at this time, but I'm like, yo, that's the truth. Like, what am I gonna argue with God? Like, it's in the Bible, you know.
And the reality is, we live in a culture that's soft, man.
It is. So has the church gone soft?
Everybody's soft. The church goes soft depending on the leader.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
That's in any field.
And
business.
that's the reason. Like it's find the church that fits you. It's no longer like this is the message of the Bible, and this is what it is. Like what he's talking about. The message of the cross is supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to make you understand that you are not good.
Right.
And no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear I'm not good. No one wants to hear I am not right. So obviously that message, when you hear it, it's supposed to cause that. But now it's more about like, it's all about grace. It's all about a loving God and a loving Jesus. So then it's like, now you're adding other elements that, yes, are true, but adding them in a way where it doesn't even lead you to repentance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's you preach the scriptures, and if people have a problem with it, then they have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And honestly, usually the problem is because it challenges you. I mean, when someone has a problem, it's because it's challenging you how you think.
Straight up. Yeah.
That's
accountability.
Really why.
Yeah, people don't.
Powerful,
It's challenging what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have a problem.
Yeah.
The only reason you have a problem with a passage of scripture is because it challenges what you want to
your
do.
belief system, whatever you
Exactly.
want.
And that's good. It's supposed to challenge you.
Yeah.
Like if you're only following God because and your God never challenges you, then it's a God you made up.
You made God in your own image, in your
Yeah.
own mind.
You made up God in your
You're
own
not
image.
obeying God. You're obeying your own.
No,
self.
you just want to do you. And so I would rather hear, you know what? I don't care. I want to do me. Cool. Do you. But be honest. You know what I'm saying? Well, thou shalt not judge. No, who said that? Who said?
Break that down for us.
You know what I'm saying?
Because there's a righteous judgment as
Like you should be able to call people out.
right, exactly.
Of course.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, and then, we hear, well, there's a lot of grace and grace. Yes. Jesus offers grace. There is grace. But, well, it doesn't matter what you do. Yes, it does matter what you do.
There's consequences.
Yeah. It absolutely matters what you do.
Yeah.
Yes, there's grace. But all through the Gospels, which are, it's the biographies of Jesus, right? The Gospels. And so you read the Gospels and you see every time Jesus encountered somebody, there was always a call to change.
Right.
It was never, well, go ahead and keep doing what you want to do.
You would challenge
You know?
everybody.
It's like the rich young ruler, right? Comes to Jesus, says, what must I do to be saved? Well, love God with all your soul, all your might, all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, I've already done that. Great. Then sell everything you have and give it to the poor. He turns around and leaves. And what did Jesus do? He kept walking, bro.
Right.
Like he didn't turn around and be like, hey, yo. Just sell half.
The grace.
Just sell half. Just sell half and follow me. No.
Just your sneaker collection.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no. He kept walking. And so we love to hear, well, God is going to meet you where you are.
Ooh.
That's a really romantic thought.
Very prosperity pastor vibes right there.
But we don't find that
In Scripture.
Yeah. We don't find Jesus, well, let me go meet them where they are. It's like he's on his way
and they come to him.
And he meets the Samaritan woman and says, you've had 5 husbands and the one you're with right now is not your husband. If you drink of the water that I have, you'll thirst no more. But he was on his way, right? And so he's also on his way. And then she goes into the city and preaches the gospel. And then they come and hear a guy that told me everything about me. And she goes and shares the message of Jesus, right?
Immediately after.
Yeah, and then there's Jesus walking, and then there's this blind man saying, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. He's walking, always on his way to something. It's not, let me go meet them where they are. It's like, have mercy on me, right? And he sees the lepers and he heals the lepers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then his best friend is sick. One of his best friends is sick, and they send him a message, and he stays 2 more days. Lazarus is sick. He's about to die. And he's like, just hang 2 more days. He didn't go meet him where he was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, but we love this romantic conversation of, well, God's going to meet you where you are. Man, like, wake up.
Do you think that's because, sorry to interrupt you, I know you're on a roll, but do you think that that's happened because Christianity has allowed ideas from other religions to come into the church without them realizing that those ideas are there?
It could be. It could also be that Christianity here in the States is viewed with a lens of Americanism.
Consumerism at the end of the day. That's the reason there's so many churches, and that's the reason we get to choose what church to consume instead of like what to really follow.
I agree.
Because I've had that same argument or that same idea where it's like, why do miracles happen in third world countries and they don't happen as much here in the States? And it's because our idea of belief isn't as big because most of the things that we need are provided for. So it's harder to believe because, well, I can provide almost everything for myself here in this country. But yet in a third world country, they don't have.
When you depend on God for your next meal.
Exactly. It's like then all they have is just the faith in order to see those things happen.
But is that why the United States is in the position it is right now?
Could be.
Because, I mean, if we look at it from like a big, like just zoom out on it, the United States is looking like Sodom and Gomorrah right now, man. We have entertainment people talking about they're like trafficking people. We got politicians being said that they were trafficking. Like, what's going on? You know?
I mean,
like,
and evil is
just rampant
in all the world, right? It's evil is everywhere, and so it's how are you going to live your life? Like, I'm not concerned about changing my neighbor's life. That's not my concern. You know what I'm saying? Like, my concern is this is how I'm going to be committed to Christ, how I'm going to be committed to my family, and I will share the message of the gospel every opportunity I get.
And then
and it's up to you,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So it's up to, like,
it's a personal thing at the end of the day.
Bro. It's up to you. It's not up to me. I mean, think at the last time, for example, the last time you prayed. When we're talking about how we live Christianity here in the States, the last time most people pray is always to ask God for something.
Right. Yep.
It's not even in gratitude or praise.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like once I got sober, that's what shifted my relationship with God, was stop asking for stuff and being grateful for stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like has definitely, like, even coming in here, sometimes I'll come into my business, and being an entrepreneur is a lot of faith involved in that. You don't just do something and it's going to happen. You know, you have to have faith in yourself and in God for it to happen. And he'll move real quick. Like, as soon as I'm being grateful, appreciative, I'll choke up.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, dang, man, that's how you going to get me today? So I'm going to start my day. And then like 2 minutes later, the barber walks in. And I'm like, I don't want him to see me crying in the morning, but it's that strong that, like, being appreciative of what you have and thankful is way better than God send me the cars and this and that, you know, because he gonna give it to you just you appreciate life and you're grateful. So that's definitely, I like that you said that, man. Like, because a lot of people just ask.
But a lot of people ask, but not a lot of people are committed.
That part too, that's hard.
Like, are you devoted to following Christ? Because we see it in the Gospels, right? It's Jesus is hanging out with his closest friends, and then there's crowds of people every time he does miracles or he gives them something to eat. And then they go away.
Right.
And it's the same 12 people. At least that we read about.
Right.
There may have been some women there and stuff like that, but, you know, we read about 12 that were with them, and then there were some women that were supporting the ministry and other people that came along and stuff. But so the question would be is, are you part of the crowd?
Are you the 12?
Or are you part of the people that are learning from Jesus? Because there's a difference, man. You know, I think it's over 60% of the population in the United States that says they're Christian. That's a big number. But I can guarantee you that it's a very small number of people that actually follow Jesus. You know, you go to, you know, what we know as the Bible Belt, right, of America. Everybody goes to church there. It's a cultural thing. You just go to church. You drive in Texas, drive it in any city of Texas, there's big churches everywhere. Huge property, huge auditoriums. everybody goes to church. That's just a cultural thing. But how many of those are actually following Jesus? How many of those are actually committed followers of Christ? See, it's not enough. See, in the church, they've taught us that if you raise your hand and you repeat a prayer, then that's it. No.
It's continuation.
The daily
It's like,
sacrifice.
what are you doing?
You gotta die to
Well, if you
yourself
say the
every day.
sinner's prayer, well, the sinner's prayer is not in the Bible.
I heard that too. Yeah, it's not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, if you went up to the altar. Now, I'm not saying people that do that don't have real encounters, because they do. But it's not just let me raise my hand and then let me live my life however the heck I want. It's let me say I'm going to follow Christ and actually follow Christ.
And have the discipline to change.
That means if you're going to say you're going to follow Christ, you stop doing some of the crap you were doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like the thing is, we got to understand that Jesus has a right to his ROI.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mario preaching to us right now. Yep.
Right. We use that ROI.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. Yeah.
We love the ROI for us,
for us?
but not for God.
Right.
It's like, no, like he's got a right to his ROI, bro. Like, he's invested everything in us. So there's gonna come there's a parable in scripture, right? It's the rich owner that goes away and leaves
the talents.
The talents.
Yeah.
You know, one
What did
gets
you do?
5, one gets 2, one gets 1. That's God.
Yep.
What did you do with everything I
And
gave you?
that's his ROI.
Mhm.
Oh, you didn't do anything with it. Get out of here.
Right.
Oh, you did something with it. Here's some more.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Now, when that's preached in America, we always
Consumerism.
it's always equal to money.
Yeah, it's about tithing.
Prosperity.
Yeah.
Gospel.
But what if it was your wife and your daughter and your family and the people that you get to serve? Right? God is going to ask me, what you do with Myra? I gave you a good wife. What you do with her? Did you care for her? Did you protect her? Did you provide for her? Did you help her reach her dreams?
Damn, bro.
Did you help her develop her gifts? Better yet, what you do for Sarah,
Yeah.
who's 10 now? You know, she's 10. My daughter's 10. Did you help her discover her gifts? Like, those are my talents.
Now you got me thinking. I got 3 kids. I got
Yeah, it's the man of the house. You got the responsibility.
You know what I'm saying? Like, God is gonna, but we always equal it to money.
Right.
Oh, if I tithe, then God's gonna give me something back. Shut up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We always we love that conversation, but what if you just give? Because you're supposed to.
Right.
What if you help your neighbor because you're supposed to do that? Like, we love being celebrated for the things we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Do you think that also has to do with culture, especially
absolutely.
like participation trophies?
Yeah.
Soft.
Yeah, bro. We become soft. Like, we love being congratulated for what we were supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to provide for your kids, bro.
Right.
You don't need a hand. You don't need a round of applause for providing for your 3 kids.
For sure.
You're supposed to do that.
You had them. You wanted them.
That reminds me of the Chris Rock stand-up. He's like, there's 2 types of black people. He's like, and there's one type of black people that always want the credit about what they're supposed to do. He's like, what, you want, a cookie?
You know what I'm saying? And so I think we gotta be men Like I'm talking just to men right now,
No,
right?
facts.
Like there's a lot of soft boys because they're not even men.
Yeah.
You know how the preacher the other day say, if there was a man-eating lion in this city, it would starve to death. Because there are so few men. And that's the truth, bro.
Yeah.
Men are soft.
I feel like they're starving in the development stage. They get stuck in a stage and they don't want to elevate.
You know, and then everybody uses the excuse of, well, I'm depressed. Well, I'm this. Well, I'm that. Do I believe that depression is real? Yeah. Do I believe mental health is real? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not saying it isn't. Absolutely. But at what point, like, man, my dad didn't have the luxury of being depressed.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe he was, but he had to get up every day. My mom, the same thing. So it's like in our culture, everybody uses an excuse to get out of doing something.
True.
Everybody uses an excuse to not commit to something. And that's the same, and we use those same excuses to not commit to Christ.
Right.
And Christ is saying, read it in the Gospels. Follow me. Drop everything and follow me. I gotta go. I gotta go bury my dad. Let the dead bury their dead. It's harsh, but I think Jesus is trying to say, if you're gonna follow me, you gotta follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, hold up. Like, I'm walking.
Because he keeps walking. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, speaking on that subject, how do you think it's also influenced in like worship music? Because the content, well, the words and the lyrics
Absolutely
has changed a lot in church.
They're not even using like
Because
gospel
back
stuff.
in the day, it like, for example, it's gone away a lot from using like the name of Jesus or God or Lord to now where there's a lot of imagery. What do you think about all that?
There's a lot of great, beautiful music that's still being created, right? So I'm not gonna get into naming anybody.
No,
But
you don't have to
what
name
I will
anybody.
say is, like, I heard a song earlier today. Friend showed me a YouTube video, and the first thing I asked was, "Man, why is a lot of worship music so emo?"
Right. It's like in the emo stage of
You know what I'm saying? Why is everybody sad and depressed and
it makes the relationship with God very like
anxious and and the best thing I can say is like, man, go back to scripture. Was there anxiety and depression in scripture? Sure.
Yeah, if you look at the Psalms.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not every Psalms is like that.
But nowadays it seems like almost like a lot of the music that's coming out, everything is like, I went through this and now I wrote this song. And I did this and I found myself. And now all the music I'm gonna do is gonna be honest.
So does that make
it was
it
dishonest before?
Does that make it like, does that make the music now, the Christian music that's coming out now, is more expressive rather than like worship music?
I don't know. I mean, it's because worship is expressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, again, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be music that expresses how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure.
But your lyrics
Write
and
it.
content
Like,
matters a lot, though.
That's fine. Write the songs, write the music, write everything. But everything's become this like sort of like this thing to make money now. This thing to sell. You know what I mean? It's like we want to sell. So let me show you, let me tell you what I went through and let me make a video about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like,
definitely.
well, I went through this and
Everything is content
let
based.
me make a video about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this song is gonna bless you. So watch my video. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yo, you're
like,
so right about it.
I'm just like,
I think
this is coming from somebody that does music and writes songs, and I'm currently working on a project. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, are we too focused on ourselves?
Because that's what I feel worship has become. Worship has become more about us than God.
Yeah.
But you see it in the lyrics. Because at some point I ask myself, who are you worshiping? Because you're not addressing anybody. Like if you look at the worship in the book of Revelations, when the 24 elders are worshiping, they're addressing who they're worshiping. And that's the one thing where like I look at modern worship music and I'm kind of like, this feels like it's just me.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like.
Sure. And a lot of the lyrics in the newer music that's coming out, a lot of them, not all of them again, it's about me, what I'm going through, what I'm, experiencing, et cetera, et cetera. And I just think we have to define worship, right?
So you can say there's worship and then a Christian album, maybe.
Well, the thing is,
That's why
the reality is we've made worship.
Yeah, we've boxed worship and music
We've
only.
made worship a genre.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what kind of genre of worship? Wait a minute. Like, who said? Like who said your,
I think that's what I meant when I asked you the question right seconds ago about the expressive. It's like it's Christian music and then there's worship music. That's what I learned.
I have a thought, right? And again, people can disagree, and that's okay. There is no such thing as Christian music.
And I agree with you because scripture has nothing where it says you have to worship this way or do it this specific way.
There's
do this music or do this instrument.
There's music.
Yeah.
Right? Scripture says that God created and he saw that it was good.
Mm-hmm.
So everything God created is good. So if he gave us the ability to create music, then there's no such thing as Christian music. We've made it a genre. We've made it a category, right? And so
is there a Grammy for Christian music too?
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, there is.
But that's why I feel like
the thing
as humans, we just categorize stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Because it became a business.
That part too, yeah.
Right? And so you'll hear people say, well, I love worship. Well, you have to be specific. You love worship, the genre, or you love worshiping God? Because there's a difference.
Because to be honest, worship music to me is going to go back to Allah. That's the worship music.
Coritos.
Yeah, like that's what I remember going to. At the first church that I remember going to, that's
again,
what it was.
Bro, the thing is, we created a genre, a category, right? A few days ago, I uploaded some songs to
GSP.
to get distributed in digital platforms. And it asked me what genre, what category. And I have to look through the whole menu of genres and Christian pop, Latin Christian, Christian gospel, Christian rap, Christian underground,
Christian R&B now.
You know what I'm saying?
I started
Christian
listening to Christian
R&B.
I was like, yo, that's dope.
Christian Dembo.
Yeah, bro. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, because it's become a business. Because it's a business. But worship.
I just heard a pastor yesterday tell me it's just $5.99 to share your resource for our new album to hit the top of the charts, and I was like, brother,
yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna buy the album if you telling me like that. Like,
it's a business, and that's what it is. So I would rather hear people say, "I'm doing this because it's a business," not because God called me to do this. That's just, I would rather hear that.
That's very interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so for example, 2 days ago, I get this message on my Instagram, and it's a guy I barely know him. I know him, I've met him. And he's like, hey, how do you go about inviting someone, having someone inviting someone to your congregation to sing.
Knowing that he's gonna ask you to go sing.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I really don't have a process, brother. Anybody that comes to my congregation, it's because I have a relationship with them, right? Like it's a friend or it's a friend of a friend. And there's some type of relationship, and I'll have him come be a guest, and he joins our worship team. He or she joins our worship team for a Sunday service. Oh, it's because I got a friend that wants to come and he wants to sing, and he's doing like a little tour, and he's singing, and he's looking for a bunch of churches in Southern California to go sing. And I go, that's cool. We're not really the type of church that does that. So I hope he finds the opportunities he's looking for.
Right.
Well, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you invite him? I said, because I don't know him. First, I don't trust him. Second, and we don't do that. We're not that kind of church. Do I think there are churches that do that? Yeah, cool. Do it. The church I get to lead, we just don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And so why? Because people look for, because it's become an industry. So people look for opportunities to go and sing.
That's another thing that I was listening to this guy who's like, he's like a kind of like a music expert, more on the secular side of things. And he was talking about how on the secular side, there's not a lot of longevity for artists. Like their expiration date is very minimum. However, if you become an artist in the Christian side and make it, your longevity is very long. So he was talking about how he was seeing a rise. This is a secular guy talking of how he was seeing a rise in the Christian industry of a lot of people trying to make it because that longevity is there, and they can have an audience way late into their late life.
Yeah.
And it's that business
Now
side that
again,
you're
I
saying.
think people, you have to put food on your table. So I understand that aspect, right? But the reality is that a lot of the music industry in the church is a business. That's what it is.
There's a bottom line that has to be made.
It's a business, you know? Does that mean everybody doing it is a business person only? No. Does that mean they don't follow Christ? No. I think many of them do. I think many of them are doing good work. They're writing good music. They're producing great things. They're giving good songs to the church in general to use in their services. I think there's a space for that. You know what I'm saying? But let's be honest. There's a business side of it. And there are people that are only in it for the business.
And does that mean they probably lack that relationship with God because of that?
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I can't be the judge of that because I don't know them. The only thing I can tell you is the people that I have a relationship with that I would invite to my congregation is people that I've, for lack of a better word, vetted.
Right. I can vouch you. Yeah.
I know who they are. There's a friendship. There's a relationship. You know what I'm saying?
But since you've been in that industry as well, I'm pretty sure you can spot them.
Mm-hmm.
You can spot the ones that are more just about the business.
So does that mean it's like a culture vulture? Like even in the Christianity, like they're like culture vulturing just because, because it's just saying that it's for longevity. Like what? I don't even.
But again, it's a real thing, bro. Once. So it's I think it's how you use or how you respond to wherever God allows you to be. I have friends that have won Grammys that do religious music, that do music, who are Christian, that do Christian music, right? We got to call it that. We categorized it again,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But that do music with a message of the gospel, who have won Grammys, who are invited to those spaces, who are they're in those circles. And I know those who I know, they're, to the best of my knowledge, they are being good examples of followers of Christ wherever they are, right? Then there are people that want to be there and they're not. And they're not the best examples of following Christ. But then there are people who are not there, who are incredible musicians. They're incredible, composers and writers and songwriters, who are amazing leaders, who are devout followers of Christ, who have good families, and nobody will ever know them because they're just not interested in that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it depends a lot on how you respond to wherever God places you. And there are people that are moving in circles of the music industry, period. Not even the Christian music industry. I'm just saying the music industry as a whole.
Right.
They're in those circles and they're following Christ. And God put them there, and God opened those doors for some reason. And it's again, it's a parable of the talents, right? It's God is allowing you, hey, I'm giving you an opportunity right now. What are you gonna do with it?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but going back to music in the church, I think the church has great music. I think the church has amazing talent. I think some of the most amazing people that we know of historically came out of the church. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where they were shaped. And then they went on to have amazing, well-known careers. And I like to think that it's somehow some type of anointing. You know what I'm saying? It's like you'll hear, of someone that came out of the church,
Elvis.
and you're like, whoa, like, man, wow.
Beyonce too, right? Beyonce started at a church. And
I guess.
I want to just kind of like one more question just to wrap up. To kind of go into the next one. You mentioned something about like young adults and that kind of ministry. What's your opinion on that? Like, if it's something that, especially since something you didn't have back then.
Is age just a number in the church?
It could be.
Because they say you could be a 60-year-old man, you just accepted Christ, but now you're an infant in the walk, right?
Yeah, that would be weird. 16-year-old going to a youth group. That'd be weird.
Hermano, es que yo me salvé la semana pasada, hermano.
No, I think there are a lot of great young adult ministries. I've yet to hear that term though outside of the church more. Like the term young adult. I, for the most part, only hear it in the church.
Yeah, I've heard that the problem with it is the structure that the church has. That they kind of do this kind of school effect, right? Where it's like they put you in little classes that you go through, and then the church rarely does anything to integrate the child or the teenager to then be in the big service. So the problem is that when there's no longer classes for them, the disconnect is there. That there was nothing ever done to then connect them to be able to participate in the big service. So then they feel like, oh, now there's nothing for me. So now they want to either look for a ministry that's a young adult, or they look for something else, or they leave the church, because there's also that statistic that from 18 to 30, like 18 to 35, they say 75% of those kids leave.
They leave.
And the only reason they come back, it's because they either marry someone that's Christian, or they want to raise their children in the same belief, and then they come back to church. So, but
Or they come back divorced.
yeah, but the whole point being is that because of this, the way the church structures the education of that way, it creates that disconnect. So it's like the pastor needs to find a way to start incorporating them so that they know eventually when the classes are done, you're gonna have to participate in the big service.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to what you said, and I agree with what you said. That's why I said I've yet to hear that term young adult just out in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really,
because once we hear 18, you're like, you're an adult.
You're an adult.
Yeah.
You don't hear it.
Right.
I mean, at least I don't. Maybe some people do, but
I don't.
don't.
Now that you mention it, I really don't.
I feel like you only hear
I
that
don't
at a church.
hear companies. Maybe it could be internal communication
yeah.
or verbiage, but I don't hear companies.
It's not a status quo type word.
saying we're a company for young adults. No, they're a company for adults. They just so happen to reach a certain demographic. So it may be
I
internal.
think when they use the demographic, that's when they say the young
So
adult.
it may be internal communication, right? But I don't hear that term often. I hear the term often in the church, you know? And so could it be that we use that term so much so, and it's forcing us, or it's having an effect where it's not letting people grow up?
Yeah. And it's going back to that structure of like, well, you're going to go with the little kids. Now you're going to go with the teenagers. And then they expect, because that's the expectancy, they expect like, now there has to be a young adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there needs to be the involvement of everybody. Like there needs to be, how old are you?
I'm already 30.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there needs to be the 30-year-old in the main service, that's what we're gonna say, that can worship the Lord alongside the 70-year-old. And you're not feeling like, man, he's too old for me to be here.
Right.
Or he's not
Yeah.
feeling like, well, he's too young for me to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think what happens when we categorize everything, there comes a point where we get some people that don't actually grow up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and so they're always looking for the next high school group, the next youth group, right? And so, well, I need somebody to connect with. Cool, connect with your friends. Like, but find a good church.
So you think that's it, from what I'm gauging from you, it has a lot to do with the pastor, the leader, being able to kind of cover all areas and be able to, in a sense,
Well,
Well, they have to build the
connect,
bridge.
if you will. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think there needs to be spaces for people to connect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, man, like look at your lives. You know, you're 30. How old are you?
33.
33,
28.
28. Y'all didn't need a young adult group.
We created it. I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Straight up.
Because you gravitate toward people who are sort of living in your same space, your same type of season.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there needs to be spaces to connect with people. But then when we perpetuate this, well, we're doing this for young adults. It's cool because they connect, but can that also, an effect of that is also, you've got people that never actually grow up, that never actually embrace the church. And then when you don't fulfill their consumeristic desire of being in another youth group,
They go to another
then they
place.
go to another place. And that's just the common thing.
Right.
They go to another place. And if that doesn't fulfill them, then they go and find something else. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the real thing. So that's why I go back to, I don't hear companies saying, well, we're a young adult company. Like, your barbershop is not, well, you only do a barbershop because you're a young adult barbershop. You're a barbershop.
Hispanic young adults.
Period. Or do you only do Hispanic
It's funny.
young adults?
I was just telling the barbers today that I'm back in the season where I need to start cutting kids again.
There you go.
Because my kids that I cut when I was their age, when I was 23, are now in college. They moved out. They're not, and now they have to pay for their own haircut, so they can't afford it.
Now they're not
like,
paying you, bro.
Exactly. They're like, yo, my parents are paying you, and now I can't. I don't want to pay you, so I gotta get
Now
those.
they're paying the guy at the school, bro. Learning
Right, that guy,
barbering
or
school.
there are sometimes there's like
That
their
charges
friends
$10.
are learning
Straight up.
now because that's a big industry that everybody's getting into. So things like that. But damn,
You know what
bro,
I'm saying? So
I had a theology teacher kind of break it down through the story of Samuel and Eli, where he talked about that moment where Eli had the ability to listen to God, but he didn't have the vision anymore. And Samuel had the ability to have the vision, but he didn't know how to listen. So that they needed each other in order to see the vision that God had and listen to what God had.
That's good.
Wow.
So the way that he broke it down was that's how the church should be between the adults and the new adults that are coming in, right? Or the young adults, if you want to call it like that. So he said that young adults usually have, that's the engine of the church, and they have the vision to be like, oh, well, these are the changes that are happening in the world, and this is what's occurring, and this is what we can incorporate. So he's like, they have the vision. However, what they don't have is the patience to listen. And the old person no longer has vision, but they have the patience to listen. So he says that the tough part of a pastor is to build that bridge between them so that they both can enjoy the vision and the listening part to be able to fulfill what God wants to fulfill in that church.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Well, just to kind of wrap this up, man, I kind of want to just touch more of another topic. What does the Mexican soccer team have to do to get back to success, man? Tell me, what are they going to do before Team USA gets a World Cup before them?
Team USA has got the upper hand now, bro.
They do. I mean, that's what I'm curious to know.
We're going to connect it to what Emmanuel said, vision.
Los viejos ya no
Team
tienen-
USA's got vision, bro.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? They have a vision. They've been training kids. Those kids that are playing now, they've been trained. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It happened 15 years ago.
right.
But I saw this documentary on Netflix where it talks about the whole rivalry between
It's on
Team
Amazon.
or Amazon Team USA. I don't know if you've ever seen it between the two, and like it talks about how like both of them have been competing for Mexican American children. Of what are they going to commit to? They're going to commit to Mexico, or they're going to commit to the US and whatnot. So it's like we've been seeing that a lot, and given that the World Cup is also coming here in the next 4 years or so. It's a bigger deal because two host countries, they're both hosting them and whatnot. So I'm just curious, what do they have to do to kind of be in better competition in the next 4 years?
Honestly, it's in my opinion, they're not developing or bringing out enough players.
Chivas is not doing enough, huh?
Well, no, because the Mexican league is out of whack.
Yep.
They brought too many.
They got way
too many players from
too
other
many
countries.
foreigners.
Yeah.
So nobody gets a chance, and it's a business. It's all about the money.
Because I'm seeing also Chucky Lozano's about to come and play for San Diego.
Yeah.
And he's been playing in PSV for a couple
and
years.
he's aging out,
Oh, so that's the thing? Okay.
Again, it's he's aging out. He's older now. You know, a soccer career is short. It's not a long career.
But I know, I just remember that he was one of the younger names
Most by
that back
30 are
then.
done.
Yeah.
That like back like a couple of years, like I think the last World Cup or the World Cup before that, like he was like the big name to like.
I think
And
it was
I think
2018.
he said, and he got injured, right? I believe
Yeah.
so. So like, you know, I haven't heard another big Mexican name
Because there aren't, you know.
know?
I think the guy that maybe you hear more is Santi Jimenez. You know, and he's not Mexican. I mean, I think he was born in Mexico, but he's Argentinian descent.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
He's Mexican, but it's Argentinian descent. But
So is that natural? What is it called when they nationalize?
no,
him?
I think he was born in Mexico.
Oh,
but his
okay.
dad, El Chaco Jimenez, played for Cruz Azul for many years. You know, so
Got you.
but it's the issue with the Mexican team is there's too many foreigners playing, not enough nationals playing in the league. Because it's all about the money. You know, I don't even know how many foreigners play on a team.
Yeah, because they have a lot of players from Colombia, from Ecuador, Argentina, Brazil.
Like the guys that can't make it pro and other, they go to Mexico
don't make
because they
it in
pay
Europe,
good.
they
They
go to
pay, they
Mexico.
pay good over there. You know, like
But the thing is, they do make it in Europe. It's just that it's such a big business that they make more money in Mexico. Like, why do Mexican players? Why don't they go to Europe? Because they're gonna take a huge pay cut, bro. I mean, imagine you're making $5 million a year, but to go play in a team in
lower
Spain,
division, the mid division team,
in first division, but mid table,
mid-table, yeah.
you're gonna make, I don't know, 500,000. Of course, you're not gonna go. Why? Because your career is short.
Make as much money as you can.
And it's a huge business, bro. The owners of the Mexican teams, bro, they want to sell you a player for, $12 million. And then the teams in the USA, the schools, the academies are like, take them for free. Just take them. Let him play. Like, just take him so he can train. Take him. We're going to cover it. Just take him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so now you're seeing all these kids being in academies and going, and they're all playing in top teams, bro.
Right.
But they're not earning as much as they would like, but because the vision is the sport, not the money. Mm-hmm. I think that's what's happening. And honestly, unless the structure of the Mexican league changes,
Mexican Federation got to get better, huh?
Yeah, bro. They don't even have a descenso.
No.
They don't have a second division. You know what I'm saying? It used to be, hey, if you're a terrible team,
going down,
you're gonna go down. Now that doesn't happen. So I think the USA's got the upper hand.
So vas a Estados Unidos in the next one, okay?
No, of course not, bro.
So you don't have a gringo jersey yet?
A gringo jersey.
But just in the World Cup, you're not rooting for
I
them?
like the US, bro. You know, I love this country.
Yeah.
I
made you.
I love this country.
Is Mexico in the next cup that's coming up right now, Copa America?
Yeah.
So is USA, right?
Yeah.
They're playing against Brazil, I think.
Yeah, so
that's being here. That's in the US, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be here in the US.
Yeah.
That was gonna be interesting.
Some games and so.
What's your club team?
My club team is Real Madrid, bro.
Okay.
Oh, you're happy, huh?
So you're happy. They just won the Champions League and they got Mbappe today, huh?
Yeah,
bro.
And that Brazilian kid's going.
Yeah,
too.
bro.
Were you a Club Leon kid growing up?
I was.
Okay.
I was.
And then
I don't follow the Mexican league that much anymore.
Okay.
But I'm a Real Madrid, and I like the Manchester United too.
Oh, so you're just like Manny. You guys are both.
You like Man U?
Mm-hmm. Man, you fan.
But I like Man U because of Chicharito, bro.
Oh, okay. Yeah, back in the day.
Chicharito went.
Yeah, he went to Real Madrid too.
Crazy goals.
Yeah, he did. And he was in Real Madrid.
Yeah,
too,
he subbed in, got subbed in.
But I've
and
always liked
scored.
Real Madrid.
I feel
And I just like soccer overall. I'm not like a
Hardcore fan to one club.
I'm gonna get angry because somebody lost. Like, I'm not that guy.
I feel you.
I'm not.
I've lost friendships over me,
Yes, I'm
me rooting for Argentina in the last World Cup.
Yeah.
Ruined my friendship with a Mexican friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I'm not like that. You know,
I was gonna
like,
put on Argentina jersey just to bother you today, but you
Which,
were
Argentina?
Yeah.
It's cool, boy. It wouldn't bother me. I'm good.
Man, he was like,
there's a lot of Mexican people that do get
No,
bothered,
he was
especially at us
mad,
Salvadorians
man,
that go for Argentina. It's like, oh, because your team's not in the World Cup.
Yeah,
I'm like,
then they
my
start
team
back.
sucks, bro. You know it.
I gotta go for somebody.
You know
right?
what I mean, bro? Like,
No, but I'm not. I'm not that type.
it's not that serious for you.
Nah, it's not that serious, bro. It's not.
So,
Like I like it. I actually really love it. I'm
What about
passionate
boxing?
About it. I love boxing, bro.
Canelo?
Canelo's dope.
You like?
Yeah.
Is he supposed to fight
Canelo's
Benavidez already, or
Nah, Benavidez ain't nothing, bro.
So why is Canelo ducking him?
Nah, he's not ducking. Let's just be honest, bro. Benavidez hasn't won a thing, bro.
I mean, I
Come on.
think it would be a good matchup, but I mean, yeah, he just
But let's be
everybody
honest,
he's walking
bro.
to.
Benavidez is good, but he hasn't won a thing.
What do you think of Ryan Garcia?
Ryan Garcia talks a lot.
A false prophet. I have a homie
bro,
of mine.
Ryan Garcia is.
bro, his last press conference got me. It was such a cringe. He starts it off with Jesus
He
Christ,
can go
Jesus
up
Christ.
and be like, I want to invite the Holy Spirit to this conversation.
Yeah, bro.
It's like, no,
What, bro?
what is
you
going
saying?
on, man?
And I have a friend of mine that we talk boxing all the time, and right before he went low cuckoo, before this last fight, I was like, Ryan Garcia, I'm going for him against Devin. Then Ryan starts going crazy, like,
Yeah,
I saw
bro.
they raping kids and pedophiles and all this stuff, and then he's like, this is the guy you're backing. Then he won the fight, and then he starts going crazy, like
He whooped him, though.
He did.
He was right. When Devin's like, you just got left hook. He's like, that's all I'm going to need. And he got him with the left hook.
And he's
bro.
singing right there, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and then my homie just starts telling me, he's like, bro, he's a false prophet, bro, and then this that, and I'm like, dang, bro, like he does
Yeah,
make it look bad, you know,
He doesn't
like,
represent Christ
at all.
So if by any chance Ryan watches this, Ryan Garcia,
He ran by the shot
If
right
you're-
before a tank fight.
if you are gonna represent Christ, you can't be talking like that, bro.
Amen.
That's
Very
the
true.
truth.
Very true. Do you
But
watch any UFC?
He's super talented, bro.
Do you watch any UFC at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not a huge fan. It's too violent for me, bro.
Okay.
I like boxing.
You're old school. See, I feel like
I like
everybody in that
boxing,
era
bro.
from the 45.
The UFC is cool, but
There's a lot of Mexican fighters that are coming up. There's a Mexican
Yeah.
champ that she's about to defend her title in September.
yeah,
Alexa
yeah.
I
Grasso.
should look into Brandon Moreno. So he's my favorite.
Brandon Moreno.
Moreno. He's a
Is it
dope-
Tijuana?
TJ.
There's a guy, Goyito. His name was Goyito Power or something like that. He's a UFC guy.
Mm-hmm. Think I've heard of
Years
him.
and years ago, I did a jingle for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll send it to
Sick.
you.
That's
It was
nice,
pretty
dude.
dope.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
man.
Why
UFC's
Los
cool.
Lakers?
I'm not a huge Laker fan, bro. I was a
Don't-
Kobe fan.
Don't tell me you're a Clipper fan, bro.
I'm a Kobe fan, bro.
Okay,
Amen.
but don't
I
tell
was
me.
a Kobe
Rest in
fan,
peace.
and I'm a LeBron fan.
I like that.
But so I'm conflicted, you know. Every time they play, I want them to win and lose. So
Nah, but don't just for the record and we're on camera. You're not a Clipper fan, right?
I'm a Clipper fan, bro.
Bro. All right, guys, we're done with this.
Said it just to get you.
No, I'm just kidding, bro. No.
So don't go to his congregation.
I'm not like a diehard like.
NBA
Basketball
fan.
No, man.
Dodger fan?
I'm a Dodger fan. Yeah,
Okay.
I like the Dodgers.
Cool.
Have you gotten to a game this year already?
I haven't gone this year yet,
Almost, bro.
but let's go, bro.
I'm gonna go for Salvadoran Heritage Night, bro.
For real?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go with you.
Let's
Yeah.
go. I'll go to Mexican Heritage Night with you too, bro.
I went to Mexican Heritage last year.
Okay.
That was dope.
They're
I don't know that I'll do that, bro.
They're gonna give a Dodger Salvadoran jersey.
For real?
Yeah, you have to buy the right ticket.
Last
But,
year they did. Yeah, if you buy the right ticket, they gave like a sarape, like a poncho.
Oh, Mexico, that's
Like,
dope.
it
It's
was
dope. You know
they
what I
had
mean?
a mariachi. It was cool.
Yeah, I took a friend of mine for Cinco de Mayo one time, and they had mariachis at the beginning. Dude,
Yeah.
honestly, it was the most LA thing to have mariachis at a Dodger game. It just felt right. Everything was like, man, I love
Yeah.
that. That was one of my favorite memories at Dodger Stadium, bro. But Mario, thank you so
Thank you,
much
bro.
for
Yeah,
having
man.
it,
Thank
for
you,
being
guys.
with us.
Great
And
talk.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I gotta see what I'm gonna develop in my kids. Those talents, man. You really challenged me with that. I'm like,
There you
dang,
go,
How
Definitely.
am I
man.
gonna figure out what?
bro.
these
You
kids
gotta
are
do
gonna
it.
be?
God's gonna ask you.
Right. And then one thing that I like, just to end it, that you saying that really what you saying that stood out to me, because I've been having this thought in my head. I was like, I want to be a memory. I want God to remember me. Like you said, like, what did you do with what I gave you? I want him to remember me. Like, all right, yeah, this guy actually did something, you know? So thank you for that, because
Yeah.
it challenged me today.
Yeah,
So,
man.
Thank you so much, Mario.